Zyla had lived her entire life in grayscale. As a Varelian, her species perceived the universe in shades of silver, white, and black. It was sufficient. It was normal. It was all she had ever known. The concept of color was merely theoretical, something mentioned in ancient texts about extinct civilizations and fairy tales. She had accepted this limitation the way one accepts gravity as an unchangeable fact of existence. Then Dr. Marcus Chun arrived at the research station. He was human, part of an intergalactic cultural exchange program. And the moment he saw Zyla, something shifted in his expression. Not pity. She had learned to recognize and resent pity. It was something else. Recognition, perhaps, or determination. "You're missing out on something extraordinary," he said one afternoon, observing her work in the crystallin gardens where she cultivated mineral formations. "The visual spectrum you're missing. It's half the beauty of existence." "I do not miss what I cannot perceive," Zyla replied matter-of-factly. "It is a philosophical acceptance, not a tragedy." But Marcus Chun had the stubborn optimism of a species. He spent the next 3 weeks in his quarters working on something in secret. He consulted every biological database on the station. He studied Varelian neurology, photoreceptor sensitivity, and optical processing. He filled screens with equations and diagrams that meant nothing to anyone but him. On the 22nd day, he called her to his lab. "I can't give you color naturally," he said, holding up a pair of glasses that looked like art themselves. Sleek, crystalline, embedded with what looked like fiber optic threading. "But I can translate it for you." Zyla was skeptical. "This is technology humans have attempted for millennia. The human brain cannot simply—" "I'm not trying to change your brain," Marcus interrupted gently. "I'm translating color into your visual language. Your eyes see different wavelengths than ours, right? So these glasses convert visible light into patterns, textures, and intensities your eyes can actually process. Color becomes tangible." He placed the glasses on her face with careful hands. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the world transformed. The lab exploded into existence. What would have been uniform gray suddenly separated into 1,000 distinct shades. The crystalline walls, which she had always seen as silvery and featureless, now revealed themselves to be full of variation. Some areas brighter, some darker, some almost shimmering with depth. Through the window, the garden she had tended for 3 years revealed itself to be something she had never truly seen before. The flowers weren't just flowers. They were vivid. They sang with intensity. She didn't have words for the colors. The system translated them into her neural language as patterns and intensities, but the effect was the same. Beauty. Profound, overwhelming beauty that she had been living beside her entire existence without perceiving. Zyla made a sound she had never made before. It started as a small gasp and became something deeper, a keening that came from somewhere in her chest that she didn't know existed. Her knees buckled, and Marcus caught her before she fell. She was crying. Varelian tears, clear and shimmering, ran down her face as she stared at the world in wonder. "The flowers," she whispered. I don't have language for this." "I know," Marcus said softly, understanding in his voice. She stood there for 2 hours, weeping and looking at everything. She looked at the walls, the sky, the other researchers walking past the window. She looked at Marcus himself and saw for the first time that his skin held variations of tone and warmth that the grayscale had hidden from her. "Why?" she asked him. "Why did you do this?" "Because," Marcus said, "no one should live in the world without experiencing its beauty. Because I've seen wonders that I wanted to share. Because your species and mine are so different. But we both deserve to see the universe in all its glory." Over the following weeks, Marcus helped other Varelians, those who wanted it, to perceive color. Some refused. They were comfortable with their grayscale existence. But many accepted. And on the day Zyla stood in the crystalline gardens, watching the sunset paint the sky in what Marcus called orange, purple, and gold, she understood something fundamental about humanity. They built bridges between worlds. They saw limitation and refused to accept it. They looked at someone different and said, "Let me help you see what I see." As tears continued to flow down her face, Zyla whispered a translation of the colors into her own language, a language that had never needed such words before. And in that moment, her world became infinitely larger than it had ever been, because she could finally see. Please follow my channel for more videos. One click from you can change my life.